Oh, you'll fall in love with him, even if he has to drill that idea into you. Here's your look at the NECA Toys, the Slumber Party Massacre Retro Cloth, Russ Thorn. A high school student's slumber party turns terrifying as an escaped mental patient with a drill decides to crash the evening. Retrocloth Russ Thorn comes included with both drill and knife. Breakups can be pretty messy. If anyone should know, it's this guy. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the Slumber Party Massacre Retrocloth Russ Thorn, let's grab the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. Yes, you would be correct. We have looked at this figure before, but it's been so long ago, and I got a couple of questions from viewers out there asking if I still had the figure. Would I consider reviewing him again? Twist my rubber arm. That's what brought us to the stance now. The figure, though, of Russ Thorn is going to stand at 8 inches in height. Or the Slumber Party Massacre Driller Killer is 20 centimeters tall. If anybody knows anything about broken hearts, it's probably this guy right here. Here's what the Retrocloth Russ Thorn looks like, along with the Retrocloth My Bloody Valentine Minor. Rocking a denim-on-denim look, or what we call here in Canada as the Canadian tuxedo, Russ Thorn comes included with 3 accessories. First, the figure comes with an interchangeable hand that's going to actually swap out with the hand that he has right now. Funny, though, enough, is that this is the only hand that actually is still clean, while all the other 2 are actually still soaked in blood. Probably not going to end up swapping this. I don't even think I remember swapping and changing the hand the first time, because I think the hands that he has right now are fairly suitable enough. In fact, I probably would have just committed the plastic that they ended up using for this hand and maybe included instead the box of pizza. Anyways, the figure also comes included with a knife. The knife starts our journey down what will be quite a bloodshed. I mean, not only, again, does he have it on his hands, he has it all over his drill, and he has it on the knife as well. The only thing I would say about the knife, though, is that you can see, like, there's a line right there. My guess is that line is supposed to be there because that's part of the blade, but I'm just not used to usually seeing butcher knives that have, like, a little indentation on the end of it. I'm sure, though, there are ones that exist. You can see that he has already generously soaked this and stained this in blood, probably impaled this in somebody's body. Funny, though, enough that Russ Thorn only appears in Slumber Party Massacre 1. And yet, though, the actual footage that they used for Slumber Party was also then used as well for Sorority House Massacre, I believe both 2 and 3, as they did use footage from Slumber Party Massacre. If you ever get the chance to watch Sorority House Massacre 2, or the third one for that matter, not only are they terrible movies, but you might in fact see the Driller Killer appear in that, by no choice of his own. The knife, by the way, does fit into his hand, either one of his hand for that matter. You just take that and plug it into his hand like that. The more favored of the accessories, though, the figure also comes included with his drill. The drill doesn't necessarily rotate, so if that's going to be a disappointment to you, I'm sorry to let you down. But it does have, like you can see, a lot of blood there on the end of it. He isn't so much called the Driller Killer in the movie. In fact, there is actually a movie called The Driller Killer, and it has nothing to do with slumber parties. It has nothing to do with Russ Thorn. He also is brought back in the Slumber Party Massacre 2, although it's really somewhat of a different Driller Killer. Without really giving it away, you really have to watch Slumber Party Massacre 2. The drill itself does look quite good, though. And again, my favorite thing of the 2 accessories, I mean, really with the hand, too. I have no plans at all of ever displaying that figure with the hands. But to put the drill in his hand, it's just a case of taking the one side that has the trigger. So obviously, we're going to still want to use this hand here. Take the handle, plug it in place. Slide it down like this. And actually, while I'm doing this too, the only way, and still the only way that you can get this figure for yourself, was that it was a collaboration between Scream Factory and NECA Toys. They had at one point I believe was it a steel case? A steel case of Slumber Party Massacre. And along with that, you got the chance as well to get yourself the Retrocloth Russ Thorn. It's the only time that this figure has ever been made available. And I hope, though, it follows somewhat the same suit as the Billy Chapman from Silent Night, Deadly Night. Remember, that guy was also an exclusive to Scream Factory that eventually did get a retail release. I hope something similar is in the fate here for Russ Thorn. You can, of course, have the figure with the drill in his hand, although, again, with the drill being so close like this to his body, it makes things a little bit harder for him to run around. Funny, though, that the actor that played Russ Thorn was, I think, Michael Villela, and he was interviewed as to what kind of gave him the inspiration for the way he sort of stalks through the hallways and inside the house. And I believe he said he wanted to look like, what was it, like that bird, the bird from NBC. I'm just drawing now an absolute blank for what I was actually trying to think of. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. Anyways, though, birds aside, let's just remove the drill and put it off to the side. Getting a closer look, though, at Russ Thorn. The head sculpt, though, is still good. I mean, even up to this point. Previous retro cloth figures always really then suffered from really poor paint applications. Russ Thorn somehow got off pretty lucky, in fact. His head sculpt not only does look like the actor, but they've done a nice enough job of painting it that I don't even feel like if they got a future release down the road in retail, I don't think the paint would be any bit better than what we're getting right here. He's got blood there, all stained across the front of his face. Funny enough, even though he is wearing the Canadian tuxedo, there's no blood anywhere on his jacket. There's no blood anywhere on his pants. You would think, boy, those are pretty lucky clothes, that he happens to get it on his hands, and quite a lot of it, by the way, and yet he doesn't get it anywhere else on his jacket or pants. Speaking of jackets, though, unfortunately my Russ, I'm probably going to have to go in and iron. You can see it's curled up at the bottom corner here. Nice snaps they've added on the side there. You got a couple of little snaps on the tops of the pockets. The pockets themselves don't actually function. You can see there's just a flaps on the top. On the underneath, of course, he is wearing himself the red t-shirt, very bright t-shirt, and he got himself a pair of denim jeans. The shoes themselves, one thing I was happy to see when I eventually had this figure arrive was that he is using the newer articulation, because that was sort of around that cusp period, that time frame in which NECA moved away from the hinge joints over then instead to an ankle rocker. And Russ Thorn just happened to be at that sweet spot when they moved over and they gave these guys ankle articulation. And he definitely does need it. I mean, obviously I prefer these figures to have ankle rockers as opposed to the way they used to be, where they were hinges back and forth. Speaking of figure articulation, moving though back to Russ, the head's going to be on ball joint and it moves quite freely. Rotates all the way around, it moves up, it moves down, and you can easily move it back and forth as well. As for the arms come out easily at 90 degrees. A little tighter on this side, but again, I much rather tight joints than loose joints. You can bring the arms forward, you can bring the arms back. There is a swivel here at the bicep. There is also a double hinge at seams in the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. Nice to see that. The legs do split out. You can move those out as well. Bring the legs forward. Bring the legs back. And would you believe as well, there's a swivel at the top of the thigh? I'd never lead you guys believe anything otherwise. There's also, again, a hinge there on the knee. The hinge on the knee seems to only be a single hinge. But again, he has the benefit of the ankle rocker. Up and down, rock and forth, back and forth this way as well. Nice to see that we did get ourselves a Russ Thorn. Again, unfortunately, if you guys are interested, get this guy for yourself. The only option now, I don't even think now Scream Factory even has this guy sitting around on their shelf. They tend not, I mean, when they get retro figures, for example, they have them for a very short amount of time. Once they sell out, they tend not to restock them anymore. So Russ Thorn, likely now, if you're looking to get your hands on this guy, would have to be going probably the route of eBay. eBay and paying the prices that this guy probably is going for now might be your only option. But if you're a big fan of Slumber Party, at least the first one, as of course in the second one, the Driller Killer gets, well, not only is he playing rock and roll with an electric guitar drill, I'm not fooling you guys either, but he's all clad in leather too. I don't think leather tops and leather bottoms is anything of a tuxedo. I don't think so. I can tell you, though, a denim jacket and denim jeans, though, is, again, a Canadian tuxedo. Look that up. That thing actually does exist. But while we did get ourselves a Slumber Party Massacre Russ Thorn, I do hope at some point. I mean, maybe they could also collaborate, being NECA, of course, with Scream Factory, and give us another Driller Killer. One more specifically. We don't even have to think about the Slumber Party Massacre 3 Driller Killer. That guy was just stupid. But, though, I would definitely be interested, very interested, in fact, to get a leather rock and roll singing, playing, drilling, killing. Where are we going with this? The Driller Killer, though, that we get in Slumber Party Massacre 2. If that isn't something that's already on their table for ideas, I certainly hope it will be, as that's my favorite version of the Driller Killer from the Slumber Party Massacre films. That bird, by the way, I was drawing a blank to, was a peacock. So Villela, when he was interviewed, said he based his movements in the movie off of a peacock. Now we all know. One thing that I really like, though, about this figure is, again, while he is unfortunately very rare, he still, though, doesn't feel dated. By the way, though, in between takes, I did check online over on eBay. The asking price right now for retro cloth sealed Russ Thorns are a little over $100, about $102 to $105, give or take what seller is selling them for the moment. But I think that's, if you don't mind paying the price, I think it's worth it because I'm a big fan of Slumber Party Massacre. Luckily, I was able to get this figure when he first dropped over on Scream Factory. So it's always really good to follow both Scream and NECA over on their social medias. You can always then know when these limited edition figures then drop on Scream Factory and get on board paying them for the price that they're asking for at the time, not the price that they're going to be going for afterwards. Have you guys had the chance, though, to get Russ Thorn? And were you also lucky enough to get the Steelbook version of Slumber Party Massacre? As I did say, though, funny though that Russ Thorn appeared in only Slumber Party Massacre. He was recast again for the, quote, driller killer in the second film. But then he did also come back in footage. Again, footage that was only used by the studio again as a killer, an unnamed, I think, killer in Sorority House Massacre 2 for sure. And maybe even again thrown again in there for Sorority House Massacre 3. So if you did want to really see Russ Thorn, he does technically make more than one appearance, even though he is really a killer in only one movie. Yeah, either way, though, did you guys get the chance to grab this one for yourself? And would you also be interested in a rock star leather-clad driller killer from the second film? Yes, yes, yes. I'm not speaking for all of you. That's basically just me saying yes 3 times. If you guys, though, enjoyed this video, want to throw it a like. Why not? If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and want to stick around for more, we may be wrapping up things right now for the Proud Peacock. That's not to say that we're going to be going back. Maybe we might even go back and look at a couple of other retro NECA retro cloth figures that we looked at in the past. How about that? Does that sound good? I hope it sounds good. Make sure you're coming back here on a regular basis. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.